Hello and welcome to today's trading session. We're a couple of hours before the market opens, but I just wanted to do a quick once over of the markets so you can be prepared for this session if you do see this video in time. What we've got here is the FTSE, the UK 100 is the symbol, and what we're seeing is these cam levels are quite pulled together around the top and bottom layers. So the previous day's high up here, and then you've got the previous day's low, along with some additional S1 and breakouts, and then you've got the R1 and breakout long here too. We've got the close in the middle and the pivot, and often this layout signifies that we're going to perhaps come down a little bit further, maybe to potentially the breakout short, and hopefully go up towards that close gap and perhaps even higher. So as an initial target, this close could be a really good option. If we do start to come up higher too soon, meaning the pre-market basically soaks up the potential trading setup, it is a bit uncertain as to what would happen, because we'd be very in line with market expectations. Whereas right now, because we're opening outside or a little bit away from the close gap, we're expecting to retrace during market hours into that close gap. Ideal trading scenario, as I often talk about, is we want to see a spike in the opposite direction first, signifying that there's some big orders soaking up all the liquidity to get them long, and then to be able to take them off one of these levels right up to the close gap, which could be a really good trade setup. Looking about 38 points from the bottom there, and about, perhaps 30 points, remembering that you may need to front run this. There is the other concept that it could go all the way to the pivot and perhaps even up to the R1 as well before it turns back down. So basically expecting a long position and then a short position. So we'll do a quick check of the weekly chart, and we can see that it's turning down. We've got a couple of red candles for this week and last week now. On the daily, it's starting to look like it's going to turn back down. And then on the 4 hour, it kind of has that bullish feel to it. It's down below, well, not quite below, but down near the bottom of the lower Bollinger Band, signifying that we could see some long activity before we do respect these weekly turn downs and perhaps the daily as well. But we are at very high historic pricing right now on the FTSE, so that could mean that we are expecting a bit of a downturn. So always be aware that the market could go the opposite way and just continue down, but we are hoping that it will respect the rules and go up towards that close price at 7720. So it all depends on what the pre-market does. If we do drop a little further down, it would be really good. However, if we do drop below these levels, it may be a bit tricky for the market to push back through it at the market open to actually reach these targets. So provided we open somewhere within this range here, and not below, but not too close to the close gap so that we lose all of our target profit as well. So some things to consider there on the FTSE. Over to the DAX. Now, we did open outside or very close to the S3 yesterday. The R3, so the resistance 3 cam level, and basically the market powered on up quite a bit higher than what was anticipated, but it did come back and it actually came right down below to the other side of the S3, which is a huge trading day. Very big movement for a lot of traders there. We don't often see that kind of activity, so it was quite unexpected. But it kind of did respect the rules in that it shot up and then it came back right down to the close and the previous day's high, which we were expecting or hoping for. But it continued going down far further than that. So really good short trading if you were able to hold that position as it went up higher. So holding that position as it turned back down, really good setup. but very scary because there's not too much else holding us down other than some previous activity about 3 weeks ago. So this candle here was the most high point. We almost reached it before turning back down. So if we had have breached that level, there's no historic pricing to signify that we might turn back around, which makes it really quite a concern. We can see here that yesterday we almost hit the upper Bollinger Band as well, which would have been a good indication to get short potentially, and we really pushed outside of it on the 4 hour yesterday. We can see here that if we do come below this sort of S1 and breakout short level, we could have a really good potential to go long. However, this kind of price action here, it's sort of soaking it up. It's either going to go higher or lower, obviously, but if it does sort of run out of steam, which it really has, we would probably expect this market to go short for the remainder of the next few months to perhaps half the year. So we'll have to see what actually happens, but I would expect that this market will fall over the coming few months. As I'm not trading long term in that sense, I check the markets every day anyway. So obviously you want to do your research if you're going to trade on those longer term timescales, because the larger movements really do impact your P&L, and having to hold on to those trades as you watch swap increase or decrease depending on what direction you're trading can be quite a concern. Now I think the DAX, the German 40, is a positive swap for short positions at the moment. However, that does change as the market sort of changes direction and that kind of thing. They may change the positive swap to a negative swap, in which case you would then be losing money by holding that position. So at the moment, it is a profitable position to hold depending on what broker you're with. Now you can check that obviously in your MetaTrader 4 or 5 platforms, but that's another video. Do shoot a comment if you do want some help on that. Just going to go down through the time frames now. So the DAX is very spread out. We had a very volatile day yesterday. I would potentially be looking for a long, so perhaps up to the close, and then it may turn around, but it's not really my favorite trading setup. We are super high at the moment. I'm ideally looking for short positions at this present market situation. However, I do expect this to perhaps drop down a little bit further over the coming couple of hours and then head up towards that close, just like in the FTSE. I think it's a little bit less probable, but the market is always the teller of truths. So being humble to the market and respecting what it does, because nobody can really analyze it to the point where you're expecting every move to go your way, and that's why risk management is so important. So my expectation or my ideal trade setup is we drift a little bit lower and buy off some of these levels here up towards the close gap or even the R1. We might see another big push higher, you never know. And the issue though is that it's really spread out. We'd really need some high volatility to actually take us in at the market open in about 2 hours from the time of recording this session. Whereas the UK, if we do come down a little bit further, or even from here, and the spread tightens up a little bit, it could be worthwhile just getting long on that. It looks to be a bit more probable simply because we didn't have a wild volatility day yesterday like we did on the DAX. There might be a bit of confusion and concern on the DAX side of trading, whereas the FTSE seems to be a little bit more normalized and a bit more stable, and hopefully will respect the general rules that the pivot points play by, which is often targeting the close gap if we've got some distance between it at the financial market open. I hope that helps, guys. Please do like and subscribe. Your support means everything to me. It really keeps this channel going and keeps me doing these videos for you, and I hope you find them really helpful. Anyway, good luck, have a great day, and talk to you soon.